Hello, welcome to another rip-roaring thrill ride through task 22 of the database tasks. School staff database, it's got two tables, staff and department. They're very simple. I mean, this is N5 level stuff. Your first thing to do is create a data dictionary. The staff table, we've got ID, forename, surname, and department ID. ID is clearly a primary key. Department ID is a foreign key. The types, so ID's an int, and sorry, drifted off there. Forename and surname are varchar. Department ID, you might think like phone numbers with the leading zeros, you would put that as text, so varchar. You could. I just think that's a bit stupid to do that in this case, so I'm putting it as int in this case. By the way, notice that department space ID can't have spaces in your field name, so I've just gone for camel case. You could go for snake case where you replace it with an underscore, whatever you like. This bothers me. I've just noticed as well, I stole this question from somewhere, or I stole these tables. Look at that, centered headings and then left aligned data. That looks appalling. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so varchar fields, forename and surname, I went for 30. I mean, surely that's enough. And required, I've just said they're all required. You want to know the names of your staff, and let's just suppose they all have to be in a department. I guess you could argue maybe department ID is not required. And ID, I've said, is auto-incrementing, and then department ID as a foreign key, we always just say look up from department table. Okay, looking at department table then. So department ID is the primary key, and because it was in here, it has to be in here, it has to match up. If I'd put varchar, I'd have to match them up. It's required because it's a primary key, and because it's int, that means we can do the auto-incrementing thing, which is just nice and makes things easier. Now, if we particularly wanted it to display with the leading zeros, then when we select stuff, we can get it to display leading zeros. Here's something I prepared earlier. By that I mean I googled it quickly to see if you could do it, or to see how you did it rather. And I say something I prepared earlier. I'm trying to click on a tab here, but there's an lpad function. Feel free to look it up. It means pad to the left of something with a string. So I just want to pause this while it does it. It was just a quick aside really, but this lpad function, we can get things to, that means pad out the number 7 so that it's 3 characters long, 3 digits long, and pad it with 0. Anyway, so lpad would solve that problem if it was particularly important to us. Let's go back to what we're doing. So auto-incrementing, department, varchar, I've gone for 50, religious, moral, philosophical, whatever it is. That's quite a long name. I can't be bothered counting the characters. That's surely the longest department name you're going to get though. And required, yeah. And then phone number, I've said, this would probably work as integer. They're probably not going to start with 0. They're like extensions, aren't they? But I've put it as varchar. I've assumed they're all 3. I've assumed they don't need to have a phone number. Might be departments without them, might not have without a phone. And I could probably have put some validation in there, like a length check, saying it has to equal 3 characters. But I didn't. Okay, so using MariaDB to create department staff tables. I'm slagging someone off for shoddy formatting here. Look at the centered and the left aligned, and then look at that spacing. Shame on me. Small space, big space. Anyway, use MariaDB to create department staff tables. Once again, I have not done it in MariaDB, so I hope I've got it all right. I've just typed it into Notepad++, ready to copy and paste, and I was too lazy to actually create it. Right, the table that's got the foreign key in it always has to be created after the other table. because to do a foreign key we reference the original table. If that's not created yet, then we can't do that. So I'm doing the department table first. Create table department. There we go, department ID, int, primary key, required, auto incrementing. Don't forget that underscore in auto incrementing, which Notepad++ doesn't pick up on it, doesn't recognize it for some reason. And remember, you need to be able to do this in an exam. Write it out perfectly. Department varchar 50 characters required. Phone number varchar 3. If I'd done a length check, I could have put in the check constraint, as we did in the previous question. The next table, we've got the staff table. ID, it's a great table staff ID, so it's integer, it's required, it's a primary key, it's auto incrementing. These little things here don't need to be in any particular order, remember. As long as you've got the data type immediately after the field name, that's the important bit. The rest, whatever order you like. Forename, varchar 30 and required. Same for surname. Department ID, int and required. And then here we are setting up the foreign key. So foreign key, and this is quite a hard one just to reel off in the exam. But remember, the more practical work you do with it, the more actual practice you get, the more it's going to drum it into your head. I find this quite hard to remember initially. So foreign key, and then in brackets we've got the name of our foreign key, references, and then we've got the name of the other table, and in brackets the name of the key we're linking to in that. Okay, now let's have a look back. Now we have to write the SQL to delete the staff table. Well, that seems pretty straightforward. So that is drop table staff. Easy. And then we have got write the SQL to delete the entire database. I mean, that is easy, except we don't know what the entire database is called. So it's drop database. Again, interesting. Notepad++ doesn't recognize that. You might disagree with me that that's interesting, but anyway. Drop database, and then whatever the hell the database is called. I've gone with school. Okay. Hope that all helps. See ya.